All right, so we got Tadas in town. He came to stay with me. He's here for 4 or 5 days. We're running through some training. If you guys don't know Tadas, this is really what this podcast is for, to speak how me and Tadas really met, because it's an amazing story about how we met each other, and about how relationships are formed and where they've now gone. They've now gone international, about where we can work together. And, Tadas has been one of the biggest mentors to me with my training, with my bodybuilding, with my injuries. This guy's knowledge is priceless. So, he came to stay with me for 4 or 5 days. We've been running through some training. We had an awesome session today. We shot some content. So I thought, what a great idea, to come to a podcast studio and get this man on a microphone and headphones, and mainly just speak about the story about how we met each other. So, Tadas, if you'd like to introduce yourself, of your name and who you are.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting. So I really, to be honest, it's like I'm here just for 5 days, but already fell in love with Dubai, and I see like all the opportunities. So my name is Tadas, and I'm from Lithuania. I live in UK last 14 years. And last 12 years I'm working as a personal trainer, coach. I find like from the early age, I find that I quite feel like passionate about what I'm doing. Even like I used to train all the time in the gyms, and I found that people were coming to me for advice, not for the PTs. And then eventually I done my course here in UK. I become personal trainer, and then lots of education, learn a lot about body, and just accidentally bounced into you when you were training.
Yeah, and you're massively invested into your education. You're a guy who I've learned who always wants to know more, learn more. Like how much have you invested roughly into your education?
I would say in last 9 years, I spent about probably already like something like £55,000.
55k. And when you become a personal trainer, for starters, you can just take the qualification and do what you want with it. But going the extra mile, investing in yourself, spending 10k, spending 20k, spending 30k, because you want to know more, you want to be better, you want to be different. And every investment you've made, you've got a better outcome. And that's how I got to really know that, the knowledge behind you. And I think that's, from how different you are to other people. So it's a really, really great story about how we met each other. So how I bumped into Tadas was in 2019. I competed at the British finals, and I think it was a few weeks after the show. It may be a few weeks after the show. I went down to a gym in York. We took a trip down to a gym in York. I stayed over. I think I went to get some food in York, and we just went out to try a gym in York. I went in there to train legs. So I went in there to train legs, as I do, go around my normal leg routine, jump into the hack squats. I'm a guy who normally likes to go heavy on the hack squat. I load up the hack squat, like 11, 12 plates on the hack squat. It was maxed out. And my training partner at the time, I always prefer someone to video, maybe someone to spot me. And, I always wanted a video of the set. So, when you load up your weights and you turn around and you have a look in the gym and you try and spot out the guy who can not crush you and help you if it goes wrong. Turn around and I'm looking in the gym, and you always try point out a guy who looks like he knows a thing or two, or the biggest guy, right? It's normal. And I pointed out, Tadas, I was like, okay, I'll go over and ask this guy, can you have a spot? Go over, ask him, can you give me a spot? As soon as I asked him, can we have a spot, I realized he was PTing someone. So me personally, I would never get a personal trainer to ask me to come and spot me, because someone is paying for his time. So instantly I says, remember, like, no, it's fine. Sorry, I didn't realize you were PTing. He says, no problem. I will come and I'll give you a spot, and, that's it. All right. So we came. I had no idea who this guy was. Like, all right, we want to achieve 6 reps or whatever. Like, we got like 25 reps on a hack squat. I've never been buried by someone in my life. Not just of someone screaming, though. Like, look, it's not just about screaming at someone in a set to go crazy. Just the form and execution work, getting me to control, getting me to not to drive out the hole correctly. All these different things that I learned in an intense 45 seconds of a set. And that's it. I racked it, and I was like, wow. Like, he just took me to another level. And that was it. Like, remember,
Well, you tried to lock. So you tried to lock, and
Yeah,
I said, don't want to swear, yeah, but I said, don't fucking drag it, and you just like put your hand on the thighs, like, okay. So I grind another one, and I remember I just went to my client, we done set, and then I saw you on the leg press. I finished my session. I came to you and I said, are you competing? Because I didn't know who you are. You know, it's like, and you said, yeah, I'm competing. It's like, and then we just had the chat, and then you said like, guess how old I am? And I was like, well, 30. And he was like, fuck off. So, and the thing is, nothing was forced, nothing was fake. It's just we exchanged our Instagrams, and then we started talking about that you had some problem like with some like back stuff, and then we just agreed for another training. And
I think just one day, I think we just exchanged Instagrams as you do. One day, I think I came back down to the gym in York again. I came to train, and we met up, and when you train and when you have chemistry with someone, you don't have to force chemistry with someone. When you have a good friendship relationship, you don't have to force it. Like it come naturally. We trained, we understood each other. And the biggest thing with me is whoever I train with, whoever trains me, is building up the trust. Like the trust of when that person tells you 3 more, yeah, I can get 3 more reps, but it's having trust in that person. Like, is his knowledge good enough? Is he watching me good enough? Can he spot me good enough? So I think it took a few times, but I gained the trust in Tadas very quick of his knowledge, and when he, what he told me to do and how we trained and what he was trying to teach me, because, you even agreed, and I remember you thanking me for trusting you, because I was really kind of the first bodybuilder that started to listen and apply. Like, Tadas has an Olympic weightlifting background. So when an Olympic weightlifter tells a bodybuilder now how to train, bodybuilder being bodybuilders have this like ego and wall in front of them and be like, who's this guy telling us how to train? But at the end of the day, what people don't realize is lifting weights is lifting weights. It doesn't matter if you're powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, or bodybuilding. Lifting weights is lifting with control, is lifting with a purpose, and using the body correctly. To same muscle groups, you use the body in the same way. And Tadas started applying his ways to me of how he wanted me to lift differently than what I already was, because it's not like I had a bad physique when you met me. So it's like, almost why apply these different methods if I've got a good physique? But, I accepted the methods. I started them. I tried them, from a lot of pre-activation work before I train, a lot of kind of sitting down, stretching work, pre and post workout. And I started to see like massive, massive benefits, because really, I think one of the main things that kept us such in contact for a long time was kind of my injuries. Yeah. I've always been very injury prone.
The thing is, I've done all the basically majority of the bodybuilding routines, and when I started training. So I started training at 13. I was like really like fat, obese, So I have training experience of 26 years. And before all the social media era, you find in the magazine, German volume training, 10 by 10. You're doing 10 by 10. You find this 6, 12, 25. I tried all those routines, but the majority of the things, I'm not a bodybuilder, but I understand bodybuilding. I understand mechanics, because I would say my best like gurus, what I learned, it was Charles Poliquin, Ben Pakolsky, hypertrophy coach. So all this, I know the science. I know how the body works. Plus, doing Olympic weightlifting, where you need to have perfect squat, perfect deadlift, or else you're not going to be able to do your clean and jerk or snatch. So that perfection I can combine with body mechanics, and I actually able to help people. Even it's like I said, I was like really grateful that someone like you are high level athlete, and you just like listen. And then suddenly it's like your double biceps improved, your mid back improved, and everything. So it was like, okay. So it was like with you, it was kind of like test for me. It's like, do I really understand this stuff? Can I apply what I learned from the best? Because I always doubt myself. Even I learning from the best people in the world, but it's just when it comes for yourself to train someone, you just doubt. But then it just everything like worked.
So I was the guinea pig, and it turned out all right.
Well, in a sense.
No, and I remember like one of the biggest areas that I had when I was bodybuilding, no, I haven't competed now for three and a half years. One of the biggest things that I had when I was competing, I had the physique, but you're always going to have lacking areas within your physique. You're going to have missing points within your physique. And my back, I had a very wide back, but I had a terrible back double bicep. I had a top back and I had a bottom back. I had nothing in the middle. And it was Tadas eventually started working with me. And he was like, it's just because you're simply not using it whatsoever. Like, I don't know how to use it. Like, the more you start to understand when you just pull weight back, that there's a lot more to that than just pulling weight down and pushing weight here. Like, there's a lot more to body mechanics. And the more you can mentally, believe that and mentally connect with your body, like Tadas got me really mentally connected with my body. Like, it's like a different sport when you train like this. And, he started to teach me of how to train with mind to muscle connection more and how to connect with the mid back. And don't get me wrong, it took a while, because it's like remapping the mind, right? It's like your mind has this program of what it's used to, and the second you stop thinking about it, it goes back to that original program. It's like breaking a bad habit. And it's trying to like remap that mentally in order to get my back working correctly.
And it's, I think in general, say even like when we have injuries, we need to like reprogram our body. It would be the same thing. I'm giving this example to my clients. I said, imagine now you decided to go to mixed martial arts gym, yeah, and the trainer comes you to do like pad work, yeah. You're not gonna go like a Mike Tyson and start doing 10-punch combo like pa 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 pa, yeah, like with speed and intensity. You will learn to do fast. So even, for example, our like back workouts or like a chest press in the early age, we were doing something like 4 seconds down, 2 second hold. So it wasn't much weight, but then eventually weight starts increasing, tempo starts decreasing. So you were able to create much more intensity with much bigger weight. So it's like and this is the problem. It's like many people like, oh yeah, I'm benching 3 plates. Yeah, you're benching 3 plates, but your chest still looks shit.
It's true.
Yeah. So, but then I had one guy, he was benching on the Smith machine 3 plates, and he was going for pro card, and he wanted to improve his chest. So first session, he had 1 plate, and he was struggling because suddenly you start using muscles which you never used before.
Yeah.
So,
and you challenge your body in a different way, like you've never challenged it before. Like, I think one of the biggest factors of when it comes to bodybuilders are very stubborn within themselves, because, it's like bodybuilders always know best. And what developed my physique the most is when I actually took a step back and started to look at the bigger picture of why I wasn't developing my back, why I wasn't connecting with my chest, why my arms were a weak body part. And I truly, believe in order to develop your physique, you must ditch the ego. You must ditch that wall in front of you. And why a lot of people don't develop backs like I did and transform my back and transform my arms like I did, etc., is because they're not willing to take that 3 steps back to take 10 steps forward. Like you said, like you get someone on a bench press who bench presses 3 plates, but he's got a shit chest. Now, if you tell him we're going to go back to 1 plate, we're going to learn how to correctly perform the exercise. We're going to learn how to correctly move this weight from A to B using our chest with purpose. Some people can't accept that. But yourself, if you go back to that 1 plate, you get 1.5 plates, you get 2 plates, you get back to 3, you get up to 4. But you're actually moving the weight with purpose, not moving the weight from A to B.
And especially I'm not a bodybuilder. Yeah, so when Olympic weightlifter comes with his torn pec, because I tore my pec, this is how I learn more, like through my injuries. So people don't want to listen. Oh, you're not a bodybuilder, They just don't want to accept that. But it's also like having because in the gym, what's the most common injuries? It's going to be pec tear, it's going to be some pop disc, lower back, it's going to be knee. I had chronic lower back pain. I had chronic knee pain. I tore my pec. I partially dislocated my shoulder. So, and then I start digging. Okay, why it is happening? So the more I dig, I understand. Like that something is not working. It's when you start getting pain. It's like, imagine like your body is like a car. So you drive a car, and then suddenly you get this like, you know, red light, like airbag is not working, or like the engine oil is low. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go to the garage and you're gonna refill, you know, like your oil or whatever. You're gonna, they just put computer and gonna fix. So the human body is the same thing. Say your knee hurts and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna spray something, or
Wrap it up.
or wrap it up. Yeah, wrap
Put
it
a
up.
plaster on it.
It's even like at work, I see people, you know, they're going like to do like lunges or like leg press, and this client like, oh, complains, oh no, my knee. The guy goes and gives knee sleeve. It's just it's not. Everything is happening for a reason, and but then again, it's like you said, like bodybuilders are so stubborn, you know, so they don't want to kind of like stepping back. It's even, you know, like with you, we've done some split squats on the slam board, yeah? It's like it was body weight, but that's the start of your progressive overload. So we don't need to be too much. It's like, oh yeah, everything has to be weights. No, let's start with the body weight. And then in 5 weeks, you'll have 50 kilos in one hand, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's like what, you know?
Do you remember everyone's faces when we were using the slam board?
Yeah.
A bodybuilder. If anyone knows what a slam board is, it's, you know, just a big slanted board, and it's pretty much just a very heavy forward lunge on a slam board. But hey, you've never seen a bodybuilder on a slam board, but let me tell you, like, your legs are absolutely blitzed. And going back to what you were saying, you know, in bodybuilding, it's very common. Your knee sore, you pull a knee sleeve on. Your knee sore, you wrap it up. Knee sore, you spray some free spray on it, something, and you go squat 6 plates again next week. It's exactly like you said, you know, if on your dash, if a light comes on, you know there's a problem. If you continue to put your foot down, you know fine well something's worse going to happen. And that's exactly the same. And I think one of the biggest things in bodybuilding is people think that pain is normal. Pain is not normal. If you train in pain, it means there's a problem. And I was very bad for this, you know, when I was younger, is I would feel a pain and you'd almost get pissed off. And because you get pissed off, you push even harder. My elbow's sore. You know, I'm going to do one more set. Oh, it's sore on this point. I'm just going to drive through this point. And that point becomes worse and worse and worse. And I always just say, you know what? If you feel pain and you put that weight down, you understand why the pain is and you instantly fix it. You can probably fix it very quick. But you did what I did when I was younger and continue to drive through the pain. You're almost adding up the weeks every single rep that you do of how many more weeks you're going to be out. And I think one of the biggest things when it comes to feeling pain is having that ability to put the weight down. Like, let's say you go in the gym today and you want to hit a big 6-plate squat, big 4-plate bench, whatever it might be, and you press, and on set number 3, your pec just doesn't feel good. It's having that ability to say, it's not today. It's not today. I need to put the weight down. Something needs to, you know, maybe the day before prior you didn't stretch enough. Maybe, you know, you've been driving a car, you've been sat on your laptop, you've got this shortened pec. And I think it's having the ability to say, okay, today's not the day, and step back, where I didn't have that before. I would push, and bang, I'd touch wood. I've never snapped anything, but do you know, just them consistent little niggles, and them consistent little niggles, even if it's putting you out for 4 to 6 weeks, if you're getting them 3-4 times a year, which I was doing, that adds up to a lot of progress. So if you look at that over 3, 4, 5 years, you're losing a hell of a lot of progress.
It's like if we're looking, what, a year has 52 weeks? Yeah, 52 weeks. Yeah. So you get, say, you hurt your knee, yeah? So week or 2, you can't train. Then 2 weeks, you're doing rehab stuff. Suddenly, you know, you're okay to do mini band stuff, all the warm-ups and stuff like that. Then takes you another, say, 3-4 weeks to go back where you were. Yeah, so it's like, it's 8 weeks. So that's like, wow, it's almost like 20%, 17% of the, where you could make gains, you know, you're kind of doing rehab. Yeah. And then again, you're pushing and then your body breaks again. And that's like, becomes a vicious cycle. And you look like in 3 years, you know, you can't go on the stage, you can't show yourself what you achieved. It's just, you're constantly in that, you know, in that wheel. Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's so true what you say, because it doesn't just impact you for the 6 weeks or the 12 weeks. If you tear a pec, it impacts your life. Yeah. You're competitive. Like I just had a client there tweak his pec. Like, so he tweaked it. He's not torn. He's just tweaked, you know, popped a few muscle fibers in his pec. And some people think it's the end of the world. I'm like, listen, you need to lay off for 4 to 6 weeks. We need to correct it, because you're lucky if that pec went and we don't listen to this sign on the dash, if your pec goes, that's your career. That's your, every time you do a front double bicep, every time you do a side chest, it's there. It's daylight there that you've got an injury. And you can prevent these injuries by just, dropping back the ego, being a little smarter, understanding that 6 weeks is not going to demolish your physique, understanding that 6 weeks is not a big time out of the year. But if you break your pec, that's technically your overall physique appearance very hindered and gone.
Yeah. That's why, everyone is even, we're looking, say, at the power lifters, it's just basically any strength sport. It's so often people think, oh, warm-up is lame. Warm-up is for the weak ones. So, but then if we if we call ourselves like athletes, we need to train like an athlete. So you come to the session, you have 15 to 20 minutes, you warm up, even if, it don't need to be anything like fancy. It's just some stretching, some pre-activation, even while you're talking to your mates, to people who come to the gym. Just do a bit of preparation, and that's it. It's like if we're looking the way you say, like sprinters, so they go all out when it's race. Other than that, they just everything like 50%. They're just warming up. They preparing themselves like they go into the war. When it comes race, that's it. They're gonna push like 100%. So say if you have some really heavy, say 12 plate aside hack squat, you can't just, after all day sitting, especially people who have like online training, it's most of the job is like sitting. You can't just come and just like, okay, I'm gonna warm up just a bit of leg extensions and stuff like that. Your hips are stiff, everything's stiff. And then suddenly it's like, okay, I'm warming up like on 3 plates. It's already, if there is somewhere like weakness, your body will find a way, how to compensate. It's like I know myself on my, until I tore my adductor. There is always, like a limit how much your body is gonna allow. And one day your body say, what, that's it, enough is enough. I'm just gonna break.
Yeah, the best warm up I've ever seen for the chest presses is this one.
Is
this one? A bit of a twist and a turn by the hips, and then that's it. They're ready to bench 4 plates.
No, after they done, they set, they stand up like they hold their shoulder. It's like, well, but you're training pec. You're supposed to feel, pump. You feel your shoulder. You do like few rolls.
You're ready to go again.
Add more weight and go again. It's just like it's you are bodybuilder, so you're going on the stage or in the posing room. You know how to flex your muscle, but you're going on the machine or something, and you're just doing whatever, and just you're rubbing your shoulder. So this is already like tells you something. Or like, okay, why you tore the muscle? It's not that you lifted that heavy. Well, world record of the bench press was like 340 kilos.
Yeah.
That guy didn't tore.
Yeah.
So it's everything is happening for a reason. There is a niggle, we don't need to, we still can keep our gains and we can progress. It's not everything about the weight.
Yeah. You know what? One of the biggest things that Tadas taught me was when it comes to training chest, there's a lot more to it. You train your back, you train your legs, you train your triceps, you train your grip, everything. Like it's a full body movement. I even did a small session with Kirill, who was the world's strongest bench press holder. And I just says to him at the time, I was struggling with my bench press, I was struggling with my grip, I was struggling with my chest development. He says, lie there and do a bench press. I think this is about 3 years ago. Lie there, do a bench press. He was like, all you're doing is thinking about your chest. Like, how many of you think about your chest when you do a bench press? A bench press is not all about your chest. And this is coming from someone who got a bench press world record.
335 kilos.
335 kilos. So you can't tell this man that he doesn't know what he's talking about, how to move a bench press. And his chest didn't look too bad either.
Yeah.
So it's when it comes to the bench press, it's about learning how to utilize your back. I think what a lot of people don't realize is when they do any kind of press and motion is the back is the foundation. The back is almost like the floor of the movement. And if you don't have the floor, you've got no drive. Without no floor, you've got no drive. And the more Tadas learnt me how to utilize my lats and use them as a floor, as a base to push. Honestly, I say this. Going back to what I said, I had no mid-back. I had no mid-back with back double bicep. One of the biggest things that changed my back, which will amaze you, is pressing. Pressing actually changed my back. And like people can't understand that. Because when I pressed, I never knew how to use my lats. And when I started to use when I used to do a chest session, I used to do shoulders, my lats were killing the next day, killing. And the more I got to use my lats when I pressed, the more I learned how to use my lats when I pulled. And it's about remapping that mind to muscle connection in order to gain that back, to improve that muscle body part.
So, for example, like my like bodybuilding understanding is coming from Ben Pakolsky. I hope one day I'll meet that guy in the seminar. And he was like, I think on some YouTube videos or some podcast, he was talking that it's coming like professional bodybuilders to his gym. So first like 4-6 weeks when they're training chest, they don't really feel chest, they just feel mid-back. Because as soon as the bodybuilder does a bit of like, back, everything is internal rotation. But for pressing, we need everything external rotation. And when we're constantly doing this internal rotation, like posing lat spread, we forget how to use that mid-back to bring scaps together, that there is a movement in the scaps.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when you came back from Dubai and that you said that you trained with Kirill, and then you said like, oh, he said exactly the same cues. Oh my God, my ego just went like, yes, I knew I'm talking. Because it was nice to, that you got, like, I've got confirmation from former world record holder. So it means, it's not my invention. Again, I'm not bodybuilder. So, bodybuilders quite often, not listening me because, they think I'm just Olympic weightlifter. But it was just really nice that it's like, it's just confirmation, that I wasn't wrong. So it was quite nice.
It was an ego boost.
Oh yeah, it was an ego boost. No, it's not like an ego boost, but I can admit, I can make mistakes.
Of course.
Like we all make mistakes. I'm still, it's gonna be 12 years since I started like coaching, like teaching people, and the older I'm getting, the more I learn, the more I understand how much I still don't know. And this is just drives me. I want more. I want to understand. I want to help more people. I want. Even I have a girl, so she slipped disc on the hack squat. She won her pro card, and she thought that she will never compete. So by using all these like skills, like all the seminars, what I learned from those like best people in the world. So now she's doing already on the Watson pendulum squat, which is probably the most horrible.
Heaviest squat.
The heaviest, and then she's basically soon she's gonna start doing this by herself. So
yeah. One of the biggest things that I learned as well was, when people get to the gym, they have this mindset of walking in the gym, like taking their pre-workout before they leave the house or taking their pre-workout in reception and just tunnel vision, going into the gym, hitting the pec deck, hitting the bench, hitting the pec fly, and just going crazy. They have no vision to go in there and actually prepare the body for the session. And the more I started to do that, like pre-activation stuff, the just way more I started to connect with my body. And like, this is a really funny story because like you were the person who eventually got me to do that. And, my training partner at the time, because, Tadas isn't from where I'm from. We're about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from each other. So it's not, we connect, from time to time, but not frequently, not every day. And he would come. And, I says to my training partner at the time, I says, he's going to come. You can train as well. We're going to train as the three. I says, but I'm going to tell you now, don't take your pre-workout before we start, because when Tadas comes, he's going to come in the gym. We're not going to start till about 1 hour after. I says, we're going to be stretching. We're going to be doing all this different shit. I says, and then we'll start the session. So after you finish your stretching, then you can take your pre-workout and get ready to go.
But the thing is, it's like, again, it's quite often when people complaining with say, oh, but I'm doing my stretches. So the way we're doing stretch, we're not just stretching, but at the same time, we are basically telling our brain that we are safe to move in those new ranges.
Yeah.
Because people often they stretch, they don't challenge new position.
Yeah.
Because let's say, your muscle is short and it just understands this range. We don't stretch, your body still understands, still feels strong in here.
Yeah.
So when we're doing, say, like PNF stretching techniques and, some stuff, you already, because that's why it feels like horrible that, for example, that stretch against the wall, which we filmed today also. Why it's horrible? Because now suddenly you challenge that muscle in the full length. And then when your muscle is prepared, you're going to do your exercise. Suddenly it's like, oh, I don't need to load my knee. It's like I actually can load my, you know.
But the thing is, though, why don't people do this? I'll tell you why. Because bodybuilders just want to know, does that grow muscle? Does that is that good? How is stretching against the wall going to grow my quads? Like that's all they care about. I'm not going to sit upstairs and stretch my quads for half an hour. It's not going to grow my quads. Why should I activate my hip flexors before I train? It's not going to do anything. It's not going to get my legs bigger. Before you start to realize it is, before you start to realize that all these niggles that you keep getting year round and put you out of training for 16 weeks a year, and you could be training optimally for 16 weeks, before you start to realize that you can connect better with your quads, you can stretch, you can push more blood flow in, which promotes more muscle growth, and you can grow your legs better. Not only grow your legs, but grow your legs and pain-free.
Yeah.
Like, I always say, my injuries were the biggest lesson that I ever learned. Like, I don't think that I would know you the length I did and where we've got to now if I actually wasn't for my injuries, because you were helping me so much with them.
Yeah.
You know, we would always connect well again when there was, an injury there and we need to work around it. And Tadas, was one of the main people that learnt me how to adapt when it come to training. Like, I always used to have this style of training where it was just progressive overload, getting stronger, putting more weight on. And before, I started to get knee surgeries, before I started to get tendinitis, before I started to, pop my pec. Like, again, I've never badly tore anything, but, before I started to run into these kind of roadblocks, I had a choice to make. Do I continue just pushing the progressive overload because I only know one style? Or do I take a step back with my approach and actually start to learn how to stimulate the body in a different way other than add more weight? Because the tunnel I was going down was very dark. And, I was only 20 at the time. And there was not much end to my road. Like, there was a very short tunnel that I was in. If I was going to, I would get big quick, but I'd also be very injured quick. I'd also be crippled when I was old and probably, not in a good place. My goal is to get big and stay healthy and have good health. Like, so Tadas was the main person to trust and to open up to and to adapt of like, okay, how do we stimulate the body in a different way other than just add more weight? And that's when we started, it's not all about weight. When it comes to stimulating muscle, you can add in tempos. You can add in kind of supersets, drop sets. You can learn how to control weight. You can not just move weight from A to B. You can start moving weight with purpose. And I feel like the more we started to teach that and adapt to that, and once I seen that approach, and I mean, it certainly paid off. There's a lot more than just progressive overload.
Why you didn't mention your lockdown giant set?
Because I don't want to remember it. What that actually was is of course during this, I've known you 4 years. 4 years now?
Yeah.
In the 4 years, of course, we had the lockdown. Like, eventually we got training in a gym, but there was a period of time that I had a barbell with 20 on. I had a few resistance bands. I think I had dumbbells like 10 kilos or 12 kilos or something. That's all I had. About three bits of kit. And at the time I was like to Tadas, when no one's got motivation to train with 3 bits of kit, especially when you train in the gym with an amazing facility. Now you've got 2 dumbbells, a barbell, and the fucking resistance band. So I'm like, let's put together a plan that'll keep me motivated for this time. He's like, sure, I'll put something together for you. And off goes this. Exercise 1 to exercise 7. No rest in between. 5 minutes rest after exercise 7, 3 rounds. I've never felt my body so blitzed in my life. But it was good. And that was good. And again, that's a different way of training your body. Like, a lot of people think, because a lot of people have home gym setups, and because they think they have a barbell, resistance band and dumbbells, they can't grow a physique. You can grow a physique body weight if you want to make it hard. It's all comes down to connecting with your body, be willing to make a change and working around the equipment that you've got available. Like, one big thing that we can speak about is we're lucky to have a very good facility with many bits of equipment or fancy machines. But, when I first started training, I didn't have that. I just, went to a basic gym. I mean, the machines there were machines, but they were not good machines. But I always say to people, you do not need great equipment to build a good physique. In fact, stepping in a gym with great equipment at the get-go can actually be unbeneficial, not beneficial, because I feel like you never get to learn the basics of how to lift. You never get to understand what it feels like to stabilize a bench press, a squat, a deadlift. Like, I'm a big believer in just learning the bread and butter exercises. And then I always say to this, when you learn how to control free weights, you'll never struggle how to control machines. But if you just learn how to control machines, you'll never learn how to control free weights. Would you agree?
100%. It's like I go to the gym and I don't see, well, I would see maybe like 2-3 people out of, let's say, how many people goes a week? Let's say 500 different people. Yeah, it's just maybe 3-4 people doing overhead press. Suddenly, everyone is allergic to overhead press. Everyone is like doing this like cuffed thing, and they're just expecting it to grow their shoulders, or So it's just like, I think like all this. It's great that fitness industry is growing. It's brilliant, but at the same time, everyone just tries to find this like, oh yeah, this is a new exercise. This is the magic formula. They're trying to find what's easier. And like today you said, what's bodybuilding? Bodybuilding is really hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work. There's no shortcuts. There's no, easy ways. And I completely agree. You learn something, like doing overhead press, like learning how to control the free weight. Everything else is just becomes so much more comfortable and much more easier.
I just turned 24 last week. One main thing that I'm really glad for, and we'll speak about it, is like, I'm glad at the people, and I'm very grateful for the people I got mentored by. Yourself, Matt Jensen, Jack Stokel, Chad Nichols. They the main guys who mentored me, and they're all old school. They're all basic. Like, you mentioned about the cuffs. All right, they have a purpose. They have a time and place, potentially. But they're not going to grow your shoulders. Like doing a pull down with a cuff attached to your wrist so you can like connect more with your lats. Please let me tell you, that's not the only thing that's wrong with your back. That is not going to change the game with your back. Like, you need to grow a back. Like, all right, we see your top an Olympian IFBB pro doing it, probably because that's the main area that he's missing to get into the top 5 Olympia. But he's got a fucking back. Yeah. Like, he's built his foundations.
It's maybe, for example, like if you're complete beginner, yes, it's okay, like to learn not to grip, say, like if you give to someone like dumbbells, say on the lateral raises, they just feel they trap. So when you're giving them, basically like the cuff gives you like a bit more sensations. Like, oh, I'm moving the shoulder, but then progress, go and find what's harder. It's like, it's not what's easier.
But the main thing is where the cuff and everything, like, yeah, I understand everything advances. Things are a lot more advanced than they were 20 years ago in certain areas, good and bad. But I think one of the main things is the basics were never broke.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at the physiques back in the 90s, 80s, whatever, and say they were bad physiques. Yeah. Like the basics of bodybuilding, the basics of how to lift never were broke.
It's like things, I really sometimes it just irritates. And it feels like these people have massive follow-ups and they're just telling, oh, pull-up's not going to build a back. Or chin-up's not going to build your back. Or squat is not going to build your legs. It's like you said, like really good example. Show me the person who is able to do 3 sets, 20 of the pull-ups, and they don't have back.
I just had this the other day,
didn't
we were training in the gym. We train in the gym and we always have a chain wag after we finish training. Yeah. And I honestly think, like pull-ups are one of the best things that you can do for back. Because what I said to Tadas was, find me a person who can do 20 reps, 3 sets of pull-ups, controlled, with bad structure in his back, I said. I didn't say he'd have the world's biggest back, but I said the structure. Because if you can control 20 reps, doing bodyweight pull-ups wide, you know how to connect well with your lats. Connect well with your lats, you're going to have a good structured back.
100%. It's like you said, basics, get good at those basics. Don't look for excuses. Oh, my knees hurt if I squat. Okay, find why your knees hurt. Go find like personal trainer or like whoever or physio. Check what's your hip internal external rotation. What's, where you're weak. Get strong where you're weak, and then suddenly everything will start improving. It's like even when we were training, like say legs in Durham, yes, like your training partner's like knee was like hurting. We done all the stuff, told why it hurts, and then choose exercises, and then we done an amazing leg session and just a quad blow up. You know, nothing else. The was just like you both were sitting and said, "Okay, 2 more sets," and you both just looking at me like that. 2 more.
They were the quad workouts where you drive home, it take you 30 minutes, you can't even get out the car because of cramp. You can't even get out the car. You dread getting out the car because you've sat for 30 minutes on one spot.
Yeah. But it's again, it's just that's why it's I'm so grateful, you know, like big guy like you just, you know, okay, let's step back. You know, I will show you how to train, you know, how to train without pain. Let's choose this exercise. We don't need to do range what Johnny does. Yeah, but give us 2 months and you're gonna be squatting, you know, doing everything what is Johnny's doing. So again, we're going back to the same point. It's okay to step like 2 steps back, and then you have like 5 forward.
Yeah.
You know.
But then again, in bodybuilding, they have this big thing that it's about weight all the time. It's bodybuilding. It's not powerlifting. Powerlifting is all about moving weight from A to B. How much weight can you move from A to B? Bodybuilding is about how hard can you make weight move. Like when you lift a 50 kilogram dumbbell, when you do a 100 kilogram squat, whatever you may do, it's about how hard can you make that movement from top to bottom, not necessarily how much weight can you lift. Like we all know people, I certainly know people who can move a lot of weight, but don't actually have that much muscle there. And I know people who move half the weight, who are full, who are round, because they just know how to use their body. Okay, genetics come into play in part, muscle bellies come to play a part. That's not, you don't need all the genetics in the world to grow some muscle. Like, it's not all about weight. It's about intensity. It's about getting in the gym and digging your head in the sand and learning how to actually use the muscles correctly.
It's like weight becomes almost like a byproduct, you know. Obviously, your muscle, you know, gets bigger, gets stronger. You need more challenge to that muscle. So the more you challenge that muscle, the muscle gets stronger. So you add a bit of resistance, and you know, you start improving. So your weight's coming. It's like people getting so obsessed about logbooks. And I remember I had a session in the gym, and this guy was doing hack squats. I said, he asked me like to spot him. And I said, okay, I'll spot you. So how many are you doing? Oh, last week I done 15 reps. So I'm gonna, you know, I wanna repeat that. And then I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna spot you. So I applied a bit pressure down, so his muscle got under the tension. After 10 reps, his quads blew up. He just couldn't do anymore. So we done another 5 forced reps. He was 15 minutes sitting on the hamstring curl machine, like. I'm probably gonna go home, you know. It's just like just one set. I said, do you see your logbook is just lying to you? Because when you start chasing that number, you're becoming like a powerlifter who, you know, moving weight from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But you know, it's okay if your goal is powerlifting. But if you want to get, you know, big, massive, stimulate that muscle, make it burn. You know, it's just like get this, you know, like stimulus.
Yeah. Weight has a purpose.
Oh yeah,
it has a purpose.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely not everything. Like I always say, you know, I teach my clients the 3 stages of training progress that I like to do. 1 is progressive overload, progressively increasing weight. 2 would be increasing the time that muscle is under tension. So that could be more reps, that could be slower tempo. And 3rd one would be clean up your form and execution. So not just, you know, when you push up weight and you go from the 45 kilo dumbbells to the 50s and it gets a little bit sloppy again. Don't jump up to the 52s before you clean up your form and execution with the 50s. Yeah. Start to learn how to move the 50s with purpose, not just from A to B. Do that. Yes, your progress is going to be slower, but your chest development and every other body part development is going to be much greater because of that. Plus, you're not going to get as strong as quick, so your risk versus reward of injury here is going to be a lot less. Yeah. It's not about how strong you can get to how big you can get. Ideally, if you can get big with moving minimal amount of weight, the injury risk there is a lot less. Yeah. Like, some people look at people and be like, yeah, he's massive. He pulls like 9 plates off the floor, 8 plates from the floor. It's very impressive. I love to see it. I'd be the first person to support someone do that. But those people have a very big injury risk every single time they walk into a gym. Yeah.
And if you want to, especially if you are a competitive bodybuilder, if you want to, you know, if this is your career, you just have to keep as safe as possible. And, you know, if something is breaking, something is wrong. So I'm really a big believer. It's like same thing. It's like what, you know, BPAC is always like saying, go there where you're weak and stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, like shoulder press. Yeah. So people usually lift their arm and they're just wobbling. Okay, you're weak here. Go up and just find a way how to stabilize. Get strong in those positions. Say a hack squat, like pendulum squat, all the kind of squat variations where we're weak in the bottom position. Okay, let's start getting stronger. Start doing pauses. Control it. And then as soon as you eliminating again, we're going back to the same thing. Eliminating that weak link, everything's improving.
Yeah.
Suddenly your knees feeling better because you're able to utilize, your glutes. And I always, glutes is like it's like I would say like shock absorbers in the car. If your glutes are weak or tight, suddenly it's like you have pain on the side of the calf or on the knees. It's lower back because you just can't, body always will try to way how to compensate. I know from my own injuries, and it's like I tore my pec, I tore my adductor, and then start digging why it's that.
Yeah.
And then the more I understand and then start applying all my experiences to the people, then able to help.
Yeah. Let's speak about referred pain. What I mean by referred pain is when you feel lower back, a lot of people's digging in their lower back. A lot of pain when it comes in your body is actually referred pain. What I mean by referred pain is it's almost like, a domino effect. If something starts at the bottom, it'll lead up, or something starts at the top, it'll lead down to the bottom. Like everything is connected. Yeah. So like if you get lower back pain, it can be glute tightness. You release the glutes, you release the calves, you release the hamstrings, that full posterior chain gets released. Like even like small stuff when we mentioned today about elbow pain. Elbow pain can come from the lat, can come from the back, because when it's shortened, it's going to pull elsewhere. Yeah. So something pulls here, pulls shorter there as well.
It's mainly like with like elbow, it's going to be usually like this, like teres major is always going to be, I had the same thing to the point where I couldn't extend. And then just start like digging, okay, why it doesn't. So by just releasing a bit of like rhomboid, your teres releases, so then stretching a bit lat, and then suddenly your elbow is fine.
Yeah.
Or like 2 days ago, like your heel, yeah? The problem was somewhere like in the calf. So it's same thing, lower back is going to like 8 times out of 10, like lower back, it's going to be, it's just the QL is tight. Yeah. Okay, why QL is tight? Because your piriformis is tight. So it's like some like glute muscle is tight. You do a bit of mobility, go to physio, a bit like dig. But then again, it's like if the muscle is short, okay, so it means what we need to do, we need to lengthen the muscle.
Yeah.
It's, tight muscle. Okay, if it's tight, okay, make it longer.
And, I think about like, understanding that. And when I get pain now, I don't really look at that area. I always look at like the areas surrounding it.
Yeah.
And like I think one of the biggest examples with that was kind of when you kind of run into like elbow pain with tendonitis and things. Like you get pain here on your elbow. People just dig into this joint. Really, there's nothing really much there apart from the tendon.
Yeah.
What is pulling on the tendon in order for the tendon to stop?
Yes.
Be under stress.
The thing is, if it's tight, yes, it's good to release. But then at the same time, you need to, what is causes? Why it's getting tight? Yeah. I'm not using my elbow. So we need to look, what's the, what's around the shoulder blade? What's around the scapular? Because I believe it's like, so if it's your arm, so this is your calf, that's your hamstring, that's your quad, shoulder blade is the glute. Okay, so let's look at our upper body glute.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a tightness. Maybe your one arm goes here, another arm goes here. Okay, so have already like an imbalance. So when you're doing some press, something has to compensate.
Yeah, yeah. And I always think, don't get me wrong, like you need tissue work done. Like tissue work, deep tissue work is beneficial, but it can come at a price. And if you're not going to spend the money to do the tissue work, you need to be spending time within your day to do stretching routines. And I always say this, like, I can always speak on my own. Coaching programs these days, you can either join a coaching program and get a plain nutrition plan, a training plan, and disappear and learn nothing, and just follow guides with blinkers on and actually achieve a transformation, but have learned nothing on your transformation. Meaning that every single time you come to get in shape, every single time you go to push again, you need someone there to tell you every time, because the last transformation, the last coaching program you sat, you didn't learn anything. Now, when it comes to kind of having tissue work done, I think, learning how to stretch correctly, learning how to take that 5-10 minutes out your day to actually, apply something that's going to benefit your
Yeah.
training a lot and to benefit your tissue work a lot? Would you say so? You know,
Yeah.
like, and how often would you say to do that a week?
It's like if it's your day off, let's say you're training 5 days, let's say 5 days a week. I would do at least like 2-3 times. Even just simple thing. You're watching like in the evening Netflix. Well, just sit down into some like, let's call it 90-90 position, or it's just like, just do some like today we filmed some like lower back,
I'm
stretch.
laughing. I'm laughing. Right? Tadas tells me the apartment the other day. He says, "Listen, it's very easy stretch. It's very easy to do. You know, when you like watching Netflix, lie on your side and lift your leg up here and twist here and hold 3 sets, superset with this." I was like, "Wow, you'd be dead fun. Your missus gonna love you."
No, it's just like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's just something, Again, if you care about your training, if you care about your career, you should do that.
Yeah.
Because when you tear something or something hurts, you think like, oh, well, I needed to do that and I didn't do. So, it's better to be, always do something instead of later like, feeling sorry that you haven't done.
Yeah. No. And, really like an overall recap of this podcast, if the guys who's got to the end of this, I really hope what you can take out of this is learning how to adapt. Don't always have a stubborn approach when it comes to bodybuilding. If you really want to develop your best physique, not just an average physique, your best physique, bring out the potential in yourself. Let me tell you, you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to take a step back within your approach. You have to be willing to take 2, 3, 4 steps back to take 10 steps forward. You cannot just step forward all the time. You're going to run into brick walls. You're going to run into injuries. And remember what we said. It's about protecting the body from tears. Because when you protect the body, remember, when you get a tear, it's crucial if you're a competitive bodybuilder because it's your look every single day. Like, there's nothing worse when a fantastic physique does a muscular and he's just got a massive dip out of his pec. Like, it may be that, I guarantee if you go and ask that person, he knew what he did wrong and he knew he was a bit stubborn of why it happened. You probably admit, like, that's why you learn from your injuries. That's why I learned from mine. Look, I not tore anything, but I've done things that I learned to move forward from. And the main overall goal for this podcast is learn you how to adapt, learn you how to make a little bit of a smarter approach, invest more time into your body, and, overall just learn how to become the better version of yourself by not just running with blinkers on all the time. And of course, it's great to have Tadas here. He's been an amazing mentor to me. We've known each other for 4 years and we've literally spoke every day for 4 years. It's not like we've had like periods off. He's been an amazing mentor to me. Absolutely, hands down, I would not be where I am. Physique-wise, knowledge-wise, injury-wise, if it wasn't for Tadas. So, as he knows, I'm very grateful for him. But of course, I wouldn't be where I am without you. So
thank you.
It's great to listen to Tadas, and to listen to us speak here. I hope a lot of people can take a lot of good value and apply it to themselves. And maybe it makes it trigger something in their mind now to think, you know what, I can be doing something better than what I'm doing right now. Or you know what, I do have a load of alarms on my dashboard. Let's stop ignoring them and actually start to take a few steps back to take 10 steps forward. So would you like to say anything before we wrap it up?
No, I think you said everything. It's I just want to thank you that having me and believing in me, and it's what you're saying. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. It means I'm on the right path, and my main goal is just to learn more, to improve more, so I could share more stuff. So you could improve, your coaching could improve, and you would improve. I really want you on the stage. I really want it. So that for me, that would be one of the kind of like massive achievements of my like PT career. That against all odds, Mr. Brad Willis is on the stage.
I go back. All right, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, Spotify, leave a like, leave a comment. This is my first podcast. If you want me to do more, show some appreciation. If it helped you, it can help others. Share it to your friends. Tadas Burberry's The man is full of knowledge. All right. Nice to have you on. All right.
Yeah.